please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. So this is day 7. It's really day 8. But I wasn't able to record one to put out over on Saturday, which is the Sabbath for us religious Jews. I wanted to try and do it, but I just wasn't able to manage it. Frankly, actually, I'm really kind of uncomfortable putting out pre-recorded stuff while I'm offline for Sabbath. I don't know why. It's a bit weird, but that's just, it's like walking under a ladder or seeing a black cat. It's all superstition. Well, I wouldn't want to do that, but that's one of the reasons why I think it's done. Maybe I'll do one this Saturday, maybe not. So yeah, this is our daily exploration into holy and pure speech. This is one of the main ways of connecting to God. And one of the least sexiest. Yeah, there's no burning bushes or anything like that. But it really is one of the main ways of connecting to God. God, again, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. That's groovy. I actually think this is good for people who are atheists too, right? The basic ideas in it contained within. I think it make your life better, make you into a better person, which makes you happier, right? Which I think the basic point of religion in general should be. I think we lose the forest for the trees somewhat. But anyway, so we're working from this book, the Chafetz Chaim's Lesson a Day. So Chafetz Chaim was the person who codified this about 150, 200 years ago. I don't know, my history is terrible. Don't ask me about history. And it's been recodified many times over. So this is broken down into a daily work plan by Rabbi Yitzhak Berkowitz, who I knew, and Rabbi Shimon Finkelman, who I do not. So let's see what they have to tell us today. And again, all this is about making you sensitive to the power of speech, right? Power of speech goes way beyond just imparting information. Speech is that thing that God used to create reality, right? Speech is very fundamentally spiritual. It's physical, right? Sound waves, you hear it, you perceive it, but it's intangible, right? You can't touch it, right? Or at least you can measure it, but you can't touch it. Fine. So where are we up to? We're up to day 7. I know, it should be an 8. But what can you do? Matters of taste is day 8, lesson 1. It would seem there is nothing derogatory about a statement of taste. To say, I don't like dry wine is a description of the speaker's preferences, not a critical evaluation of the wine. Ostensibly, then, one should be allowed to say they do not like an oratory style or any given lecture. In fact, such statements are generally prohibited, for they imply the speaker lacks effectiveness. Well, I think one of the fundamental lessons behind this entire program is being sensitive to other people, right? There's a balance. You can't be so sensitive that you have to reshape society. That's what we're doing right now with the whole trans debate. Not there's a debate. They don't allow there to be a debate. Because if there was, we'll say, what are you doing? This is crazy, right? This is completely and totally batty crazy, right? That's why there's no debate. But I think in Judaism that's kind of true of most things. In terms like there's a balance for a woman to make herself look beautiful, to beautify herself, dress nicely, put makeup on, whatever, really. But there's a line, right, where they objectify themselves, which is one shouldn't cross, right? And so that's actually quite. I would never in a million years teach that over, right? Listen. I take my life in my hands when I tell my wife. If my wife asks me what the time is, right? If I tell her the time, I take my life in my hands, right? Just if you're not married, if you're single, don't tell your good lady spouse anything. Ask, okay? Ask gently. That's what I would suggest. And that's not Jewish law. That's just good advice. Good advice from me to you, baby. Good advice from me to you. And hey, really, your life will be much better. Actually, okay, I'm going to give you another piece of great advice. I'm very blessed that I have a great marriage, right? And I really been 27 years today, actually. It's my mind. I just realized. I looked at the date, blimey. 27 years today, and it's been, just a fantastic marriage, right? And I think both myself and my own wife, we don't succeed, right? We get pissed off when we are not perfect, but the goal is, right? The goal is we try and take 100% responsibility for the happiness in the household. We both do, right? And that's really just the way to have a good marriage, right? It really is. If both of you are putting each other first, somebody's putting you first. it's a good piece of advice. So so it's a point about finding a balance about speaking freely, speaking openly, and being hurting people's feelings by being derogatory. I mean, you got to understand when something is creative, like a speech, a piece of artwork, a story. It's not a matter of tasting me. You're criticizing them. You're saying that's not to my style. You're saying you are not to my style when you criticize somebody else's creative endeavors. Or at least if they're not to your taste, you've got to be really, really, really delicate about it. Why? Because you've got to really... Because you don't... Yeah, the whole point of these things is seeing that we are all one people, right? Bring us all together, right? Which I believe we all are, right? So seeing our oneness and... increasing the oneness of peoples in the world. And so when you piss people off by saying, "Oh, yeah, piece of work you did is shit," it doesn't go downward. That doesn't increase the overall oneness in the universe. Fine. So section number 2 says breaking bad habits. Well, you could have ended with habits and just had breaking bad. I would have been like, yes, that sounds good. Breaking bad habits. In truth, there is no basis for contention that the average person cannot avoid forbidden speech for more than a day or two. No, it's nonsense, okay? It really is nonsense. It's something you need to train yourself to. Don't go from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. It's like quitting smoking. If you go cold turkey, you probably will fail, right? It's a proof of that the longer one persists in guarding their tongue, the easier it becomes. Yeah, look, we have an idea that good deed breeds good deeds, and bad deeds breeds bad deeds, right? Oh, man, I've seen that reality so much about it. You start with something small, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Man, that's basically the story of my little community, which used to be fantastic. Don't let rot set in. That will never ever. But don't let rot set in because you're worried that you might have egg on your face because you were wrong, right? That was the root of all the bad deeds that grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. People just didn't want to be wrong. Although again, you probably see that in your everyday life. Like do you talk to people about politics at all? Because people were vehemently convinced that like Trump was a plant by the Soviets, by the Russians, and a whole bunch of things. And it turns out they were all fabrications by the intelligence services, right? It's it's just all yeah. But if you tell people about the transgender stuff, the extreme sexuality of drag shows, right? If you tell anybody and you show them pictures, here's the incredible. I met somebody over Saturday who, if you show them pictures, right, and they go, no, you're cherry picking. That's not normal, right? People don't want to be wrong, right? That's such a huge motivation. But the more that you practice not being wrong, doing the right thing, the harder it is not to. To gossip is a habit, and habits, as times go by, become part of a person's nature. Yeah, I tell you, it's incredible, right? But talking about my own personal experience, my entire community, right? My own, but 90% of my community, like they just have this gossip, this evil speech left and right. It was radar invisible, right? Still is, right? And I think because if they see it, then they also see that they might have been wrong about things. If you haven't heard the story, we used to have a local rabbi here who was terrible. Well, actually, he was very good at breaking these laws. So he did them all the time. But, people like to respect the rabbi, right? And so they said, oh, no, he's okay. Maybe he's just not right for us, but he's okay. And then, it just got so egregious they couldn't do that. So now they just pretend nothing ever happened, right? Which is okay, let's see how that works out. To gossip is a habit, yeah, because they certainly haven't broken the habit. They're still So much of this stuff around here now. Bad habits can be broken, especially when one becomes aware that a given habit involves numerous Torah prohibitions. Well, I would have liked to have thought so, but I was proven wrong. And it's described by our sages in most severe terms. Yeah, again, all this just bound. None of this could touch the Teflon armor of not wanting to be wrong, right? Nothing. Such an awareness coupled with a bit of zealousness, no, we lack that too, goes a long way. One who would speak whatever came to mind without a moment's hesitation, well, that could be considered me, but I do hesitate sometimes, will now find himself weighing his words before expressing them. Well, here's the thing though, like, I've lived with these laws for like decades, literally decades. So for me, it is I skate close the line because I know where the line is, right? Because I make a point of knowing these laws. One should not grow frustrated if, after they have resolved to avoid forbidden speech, their evil inclination got the better of them, and they speak. Yeah, hey, look, everybody screws up, right? And if you are practicing reducing this in your life and you screw up, do not beat yourself up. That is the number one tool. I always say everything's the number one tool. The number one tool of the Satan, right? That is the number one tool. Yeah, listen, this is a quote from Babylon 5. You remember that show from the 90s? It's coming back in animated form, a special. There's a great scene in it, right, where a guy is being essentially tortured by it looks like the current government in America. It really does. Go watch it. I forgot about that. And to get him to like give some false testimony, right? And so the hero's also in jail being tortured as well, and they meet each other, these two people. And he gives great advice, right? He says, all you got to do is say no one more time, then they tell you yes, right? And that's what you got to say to your evil inclination. Just one more time, say no one more time, right? And then it can say yes. Don't grow frustrated with yourself if you fail, though, right? That's good advice. Even if this happens time and again, nevertheless, one should not despair. Rather, they should forever strengthen themselves to avoid improper speech and persevere. This is really very true of people suffering from porn addiction. When I say suffering, no, they are. Sorry, yeah, I spoke to a lot of people like this. Right? It's you've got to persevere. Right? This is how one should conduct themselves their entire life. And, the success and failure, it becomes less important the more dedicated you are to not failing, right? The more you'll say, I will get up and I will keep going forward no matter what, right? That's I think that makes a huge difference. This is the intent of the Talmud statement. Talmud is a codification of Jewish law from about 2,000 years ago. One should forever arouse, I'm very aroused, their good inclination to subdue their evil inclination. Well, you kind of have to. Life is an ongoing struggle with one's evil inclination. One must forever be poised for battle and never be discouraged by failure. That's great advice. With knowledge of what God wants out of us, this is what Torah requires, but what God wants out of us, and the proper resolves, our efforts will ultimately succeed. Yeah, I believe that. Right, try again, but try honestly. Right, don't be completely weak and say, again, a balance. It's all about finding a balance. Join me tomorrow as we continue this exploration, and hopefully, we will help find that balance together. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop.